New Zealand Olympian number 1047. Beijing Summer Olympics, 2008. Rachel Howard, minutes played, 0. Every Olympian has a journey and a story to tell about how they made it to the Olympics. Some are turned into TV series, mini-dramas, or movies. And well, then there's the rest of us who make it, but in my case, didn't quite cross the white line onto the field of play. It was August 12th, 2008. We were playing the USA. We had already lost 2 games and were effectively out of the Olympics. Within the first minute, we went down 0-1. Actually, things went decidedly downhill quickly from there. 0-2, 0-3, 0-4 after 60 minutes. I was on the bench that day. Some of you might think that was lucky. But I'd been there all tournament. And suddenly, our starting goalkeeper got injured. I jumped up from the bench, ready to warm up and come on and do my part. But today, I'm not telling you a Disney story. I didn't come on. We didn't win 5-4 in the last minute on a penalty shootout. She recovered, continued to play, and I never played 1 single second. Game over, Olympics over, my football career over. Before the Olympics, I had decided that no matter what the outcome was, I was retiring from football. I couldn't afford to have a full-time job and a career and play football at the same time. But women in sport, well, that's a TED talk for another day. Yes, I was that person, the crazy one, the goalkeeper, the one who stood in goal and waved their arms around like the guy at the airport directing planes, but on high speed. The one who was never quite fast enough or talented enough, apparently, to play out in the field. The goalkeeper, they always say, is the crazy one. But I'm going to let you in on a little secret today. Everybody else who plays football is crazy. I mean, imagine running around the field for 90 minutes, chasing the ball like a little dog. Give me the ball, give me the ball, give me the ball. And you know what I did? I just stood there and waited for that damn thing to come to me. Quite often as a goalkeeper, you can be the hero or you can be the villain. And actually, I've been both far too many times to remember. But it's this roller coaster ride that you go on as a goalkeeper that helped me establish my journey and made my success in the business side of my career. Today, I want to share with you that leadership journey and how ultimately not achieving my Olympic dream enabled me to forge a very successful business career at one of the best sports companies in the world. I'm going to take you back a little while here to 1992 when Billy Ray Cyrus had his #1 hit, Achy Breaky Heart. Now, for many of you, you don't know who he is. He's Miley's dad, okay? So that's something we want to forget about, 1992. But it was also the year of the Summer Olympics in Barcelona. And that year, it sparked something inside of me. Women's football wasn't even an Olympic event at that stage. But during that summer, I made a sign that said, Sydney 2000. I hung it above the door in my bedroom, and every night when I went to sleep, and every morning when I woke up, I could see it. Even then, as a 15-year-old, I knew I wanted to go to the Olympic Games. And whether I knew it or not, at an early age, I had stumbled upon one of the important leadership traits that you can use today. The ability to visualize a goal, to state it, and set about a plan to achieve it. On my journey from 1992 to 2008, I encountered many different choices and many different routes to achieve my dream. I had to make two big decisions that ultimately impacted both my football and my business career. It also probably had the biggest impact on my ability to cross the white line onto the field of play during the Beijing Olympics, and actually probably the biggest impact on how I approach leadership today. It was April 5th, 2007, and I was in camp with the national team in Auckland in New Zealand. The next day, we were flying out to Papua New Guinea to participate in the 2007 Women's FIFA World Cup Oceania qualifiers. At that time, I was the #1 starting goalkeeper. And, of course, very excited about the opportunity to be able to qualify for the World Cup. That evening, the girls that lived in Auckland were able to go home and spend the evening with their families, and the rest of us that were based overseas spent the night in the training facilities accommodation. Now, to this day, I can't quite explain why I woke up at midnight and turned on my mobile phone, but approximately 2 hours later, at 2 a.m., I received a phone call. I sleepily looked at the phone and realized it was my mother, and like all good daughters, hung up on her, and then went back to sleep. A few seconds later, I shot up in bed and realized, as lovely and as crazy as my mum was, she wasn't going to be ringing me at 2 a.m. to wish me good luck for the games coming in the coming week. I quickly got up, snuck out of the room that I was sharing with my teammates, and into the hall. I called my mum back, and in that instant, my life changed forever. She told me earlier that day my father had taken his own life. At 5 a.m. the next morning, I had a choice to make. On one hand, I needed to go to my father's funeral and then stay and support my family. On the other was a significant choice that I had to make about a step towards my Olympic dream. Now, for some of you in the room, it probably was an easy decision to make, and perhaps selfishly, for myself, it was actually quite difficult. In the end, I made the right choice. I stayed, and it was the right choice for me and my family. But it was also a significant turning point for me in my football career. From April 5th, 2007, until the day I retired, I was never the #1 goalkeeper in New Zealand again. I had lost that position, never to regain it. From sunset to sunrise, life can have unexpected turns. And it's the decisions that we make in these critical moments that are important not only for ourselves, but for the people around us. In leadership, this is a lesson I took with me. No matter how good a goal you have or the path that you're on to achieving it, life will throw something completely unexpected at you. It will be totally out of your control, and you'll have no idea what to do. But it is so important at this moment as a leader, as people look to you to lead you through challenging times, to take the time to make those hard decisions of choosing one option over another, and being there for the people who are the difference makers in your life. And it is so important to make that decision using your head, your heart, and I know you're all hungry right now, your gut. 1 year passed, and I was living and working in Germany at one of the best sports companies in the world. And I don't remember the exact day, but I received a telephone call from the coach of the national team. He said to me, "Rachel, you're going to be in the final team for the Beijing Olympics." I was so excited. This was it. My dream was coming true. I was going to be an Olympian, or so I thought. Women's football, for me, was a full-time occupation, but didn't really receive the remuneration benefits that went with it. And like many female athletes representing our country, I was working a full-time job whilst trying to make sure I was making the national team. I found my business unit manager and I went up to him excitedly and I was like, I'm going to be an Olympian. I'm in the team. I'm going to Beijing. He promptly informed me that he was not going to approve my annual leave. He said it was unfair on the team that had been left behind to cover my work like they had done a year before at the World Cup. I was shocked. I couldn't believe it. Here I was being told by a manager that I had to choose between my Olympic dream and a job that I loved very much. So that evening, I went home, and in the end, actually, it was a no-brainer decision. I could always get another job at another sports company, or I could go and achieve my ultimate dream of going to the Olympics. So the next day, I walked into work and I handed over my resignation letter. He was shocked. I was shocked that he was shocked. And in fact, he was so shocked, he asked me not to give him that letter and give him one day to go and talk to HR. True to his word, he came back the next day and offered me unpaid leave. Now, many of you might be saying, unpaid leave? I'm like, it didn't matter to me. I was going to the Olympics and I still had the job that I really loved. So I promptly accepted his offer. That day, I realized my Olympic dream was becoming a reality. But I also learned a very valuable lesson that day, that just because it's my dream doesn't mean it's everybody else's. All the slides. It's an important leadership trait that I've taken with me through leadership today. We have a world where we have many visionary leaders, Richard Branson, Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, and they've shaped the world and continue to shape the world that we live in today. And they have big dreams, but not everybody who works for them has the same dreams that they do. And as a leader, it's important to understand and talk to your people, to understand what are their goals, what are their dreams. And if you can enable their dreams and goals while you're achieving your own, then that's a powerful way to lead people for success. After the longest 5 months of my life, I was in Beijing. I had made it. I was there. I was an Olympian, New Zealand Olympian number 1047. I realized that, like the year before, I was going to be the number 2 goalkeeper, barring some miracle or some unexplainable kung fu training incident. But this time, I was much better prepared for the role that I needed to play. I knew that I had to be the best number 2 goalkeeper that we had ever had. And in doing so, raising the level of the number 1 goalkeeper to help raise the level of our team overall. As tough as it was, I went to every training and gave it 100%. Every training was my game day. It was my opportunity to raise the level of my standards, and in doing so, raise the level of the team. And it was my opportunity to put what's best for the team ahead of my own personal ambitions and dreams. And in doing so, it enabled me to play without inhibitions, fear of failure, and ironically, made it more difficult for the coach to choose between us when it came to the starting lineup. It allowed me to play to my strengths, and it also meant that I raised the level of my game, and in doing so, hopefully raise the level of the team overall. From the first to the last game of the Olympics, I never, ever, ever gave up hope that I was going to come on to the field of play, step up, and play my part. This is especially relevant in business today. Quite often, everybody wants to be the number one all of the time. It's not possible. And as leaders, it is our responsibility to make sure that we identify the unique skills and traits that our team members bring to the field of play and enable those to work together to accomplish for the greater good of the team and better together as they would alone. The core message that I would like to leave with you today is that the ordinary Olympian is inside all of us. We all face adversity. We all find a way to muddle through, and hopefully we come out the other side stronger for it. We all have our role to play, and we're all leaders in our own way. Not everybody is going to go to the Olympics, and not everybody is going to be a crazy goalkeeper. But what I would ask of you is be crazy. Be crazy enough as a leader to think that you can make a difference, that you can make a difference to just one person's world. Even if that world is your own, it's been worth every step to get there. Not lost, but finding yourself and your purpose along the way. Thank you.